Should Prince Harry have stepped in and said something when Meghan did her obvious fake curtsy to ridicule the Queen and the royal family? And why is it that people talk about Harry and Meghan and this Netflix series, the Oprah interview, the podcast, and his book Spare? All of which I'm going to tell you my personal opinions on in this video, because they're absolutely straightforward. In my view, yes, Harry should have absolutely stepped in and said something and either just corrected the position if it did go to air, that she shouldn't be doing that to mock the Queen and the royal family, or he should have said something to the effect that it shouldn't go out at all and Netflix shouldn't have aired it. That does raise a potential contractual question and potential problem, which is probably better dealt with over on Black Belt Barrister, so subscribe there if you haven't already, because if you're not already aware, you're on Black Belt Secrets, so make sure you subscribe here. This is where you get my personal opinions. But it may raise a contractual problem in question, because if Netflix said, we are going to film everything and use whatever bit of it we like, then that's then potentially just tough, because if they've signed a contract to that effect, there's nothing they can do about it. But that then means if they being Harry and Meghan, had no choice as to whether that fake curtsy was aired, then at the very least, Harry had the opportunity to say, no, actually, hang on a minute, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, ridicule the Queen and the curtsy and the royal family and do this sort of thing, because that's obviously disrespectful and that obviously doesn't represent my views. Harry should have said, in my view, because I think it's a fairly overwhelming opinion on this channel with polls and videos and comments and everything else that most people do not agree with what they did. Now, of course, some people think that, it was fine, but there aren't many people, I think, that think that. And moving to the next part of this video, lots of people do ask the question, why is it that people are talking about Harry and Meghan, about this interview and everything else? And the simple answer there is, well, they put this information out and it's not a one-way street. Much like when I put a video out, lots of people comment on it. And, if you are blatantly attacking me and ridiculing me and defaming me or infringing my name and my rights and that sort of stuff, if it's none of those things and it's just your personal opinion, then you're entitled to your personal opinion and you can put that in the comment section. If it is just to annoy, ridicule, insult and whatever, then that's a different story. But none of these, at least from my perspective, none of these comments about this interview and the Netflix series and the book and the podcasts, none of those, certainly from my perspective, are purely just to insult, ridicule, annoy, and so on. And certainly not to defame. They are my personal views or potential legal views and analysis on the situation and what might apply. And so in any of those, me, like anybody else, are just putting our views out there. Much like any of you would put your views underneath the comment section as to what you think about any of those things, and you have done. Many of you have put your views in comments, and you've shared your views with me on this channel on what you really think about what that Netflix series entailed. And overwhelmingly, people did feel that that was a pure ridicule of the Queen and the royal family, and it was uncalled for. So those are my real views on that. Harry should have stepped in, and people talk about this because people have genuine views about it. And if they put out so much material and it is so critical of members of the royal family, other people have the opportunity to respond to it. And so this brings us to a fairly generic analysis and comparison with giving evidence in court. Because anyone going to court will know that you provide your evidence and you're cross-examined on that evidence. Now, the cross-examination really forms two different parts. One is the opposing case. So your opponent puts their case to you, what they say really happened, but also to undermine your credibility. And that can come in a number of different ways. previous inconsistent statements, so something that you've said that doesn't match what you've said before, that undermine your general credibility, meaning that you've said something that makes you a less credible person, and so the rest of what you say shouldn't be taken that seriously. But there's an important distinction here as well, which is if you want to make a statement to somebody, you give someone the opportunity to respond to it. So one complaint that I've seen is that this Netflix series, by any account, was some form of attack on the royal family, whereby they didn't really have a proper opportunity to respond to it, because the royal family's general approach is to not comment and respond, i.e. never complain and never explain. So there was no real opportunity for the royal family to respond to most of what they said. And so most of what they said would go unanswered, save for the potential implication of racism against the royal family that Prince William felt that he had to respond to in the words, "We are very much not a racist family." I felt that that was a very difficult thing for him to have to say and to come out and say publicly, because no one should ever have to defend themselves to that degree in public. Much like I've done a video about, is it racist to talk about skin color? No, it's not. It depends on the context. Much like a joke, it depends on the context. So certainly from my perspective, if I'm talking about skin color, such as, I wonder, how dark my child's skin is going to be, that's not racist to talk about that. But I've got a video about that in the description below. You can go and check that out. So for anyone making those accusations, they should expect some response from other people that have an opinion. And anyone can hold an opinion, and your opinion is just as valuable as anybody else's. And if you want to listen to my opinion, you watch these videos, you get my opinion. That's why we've got Black Belt Secrets here. So please do subscribe here, because I feel like it is the right time to share my opinions on these things. They are pure opinions, and I'll make it clear that they are pure opinions. Even over on Black Belt Barrister, I usually don't share my opinions with you, but when I do, I make it clear that it's a personal opinion, or just my opinion on how the law might apply in a given scenario without it being legal advice. And so those are opinions. And speaking of opinions, I have coming up very soon a video with the Andy Signor of Popcorn Planet and his very recent Popcorn Palace. Check them both out in the description below, and make sure you look out for those videos coming up probably next week now, so I'll keep you posted. But make sure you subscribe here, turn on the notification bell, because there's a video coming here with Andy Signor and over on his channel. So make sure you subscribe to all of those channels. Make sure you get the notification bells on so you receive notifications of those, because you'll be receiving some more of my personal opinions and what Andy thinks on these situations, because I've asked him what he thinks. He's asked me what I think, and we have a very good discussion on it. So make sure you're subscribed, wait for those videos to come and drop, and we'll be with you very soon. And I thank you all so much for watching.